make the point that the church has been struggling with this, but not just struggling with it, wanting to come up with with what would ultimately be the right response, if you know what I mean. But you have
Mm-hmm.
to imagine that, well, as some say, the church is like a huge ship and you don't turn it around with one swing. But beyond that, I think the, the church has always wanted to be a place of inclusion, but recognizing as well that as you open the doors, if you will, to more and more groups, you also have to minister even to those that you currently have, if you see what I mean. And there's a process in which education and exposure, debate, and that is why a few decades ago we committed ourselves to what we call this listening process, where we said we would at least begin to listen to the experiences of those who are in these various communities who are suffering discrimination and violence and so on, and that the church will have a zero tolerance for that sort of thing. Now, are we perfect? No. I think sometimes you will find the church is as guilty as the rest of society. But I hope the resolutions, the wording of the resolutions, point to the fact that at least the Anglican Church has been a church that has made valiant efforts, honest efforts, sincere efforts to say, let's see how we can move along. If you listen to some of the resolutions, we even said we are willing to and prepared to listen to science, and that shows a shift. When I was reading some of my thing, in the past, pastoral care used to use the Bible almost as a weapon to whip people into in. We've moved away from that, and now we have what is called in some places clinical plus pastoral care, which brings science into the equation and say, well, let's listen to what science is saying. Let's listen to psychology. Let's listen to other disciplines and not just theology in formulating our response. Now, specific to your question quickly, I think pastors and bishops and so on, um, one of the key ways in which we can begin to be a part of the transformation that is necessary is to simply model in our own ministry and in our own persons the kind of attitude and behavior that we would like to see in our people. After all, that's what we're called to do. And so it is for members of the clergy, perhaps like a Father Sean, to be courageous enough to publicly get out there and say, this is how you treat people who are our brothers and sisters in Christ, that you see them first as bearing the image of God, and then you wrestle through some of the other issues that might prove a little more challenging. Because let's face it, we also have to be honest with ourselves, and not everybody will be where a Father Sean is or other members of the church. But if we are honest with ourselves and we are prepared to model the kind of love and acceptance that Christ, I think, himself demands, we just might be able to begin to turn the tide, as it were, and to make the church not only a safer place, if you will, but a place where genuine love and appreciation can be experienced.